Yo, welcome every single one of you guys. Video here. This is pre-playoffs recap. We're on to the last section here. This is the last video on it. And if you guys haven't already, go and check all the videos before this one so you can get all of the breakdowns to lead up to this point here. The talk with the top, the interviews with your top 8. And so you don't get spoiled as well, go check out that top 8 list before you guys check out the talk with the top. But here we go. We got ourselves the first of the interviews to cover here, and we're going to be starting off with 410. So with 410, and these are the questions. I'll break it down to you guys so you guys know exactly what I was asking these teams. So we have I asked them, how was your group stage journey for the team? So that's just to get a little understanding, or at least just to see how the teams sort of felt their teams performed, if they performed at a top level, if they didn't, and they're still hiding some stuff, or they were disappointed with how their team performed, giving up a few maps here and there to teams, that's that sort of thing. Let's see some of the replies, but we'll start off first with 410 GG, or 410 Gaming. So their first reply to that question is, fairly easy group. We only dropped one map, nothing too stressful. So they really felt like the group was pretty easy. Fairly straightforward, and it was. We all saw what they were capable of, and we all saw what they ended up doing. They dismantled everybody in their group, dropping one map. So respectable response. Looking at your second question, what teams from other groups are you looking out for come playoffs? And so they say, we think the two teams to be competition for us are Voltage Esports and 410 Nation. So they're thinking, our sister team and then this other team that's undefeated map-wise and series-wise, they're the only two competitions. We don't really give too much shits about the other teams. We don't think that, Hyped Esports is anything to be scoffed at. None of the other top 8 teams that I mentioned are anything to be scoffed at. It's just these guys they tunneled in on. So it's going to be interesting because they need to be aware of the other teams. I hope they've been able to check out some of this. They've had some representative tune in and check out these videos. So they also say Voltage would definitely be our hardest matchup out of the two. So they think they could also take down their sister team fairly easily, in which I would expect them to, as their sister team did not do too well in their group. Still making it out as a 3rd seed, though. Gotta give them props for that. Question number 3 is, what is your team's expectations for playoffs? How well will you project yourselves to do? And they said, we expect to win the league, most likely beat Voltage Esports in the finals. So 410, they've got their eyes on the prize. We'll see if they'll be able to grab that. So that's 410 for you guys on the questions and answers with them. Some standard stuff. Nothing toxic or trashy, really. Just, I feel like they need to open their eyes more. They got to understand there's other teams out there, and to be worried about their sister team as the second most concerning just to be the second most concerning opponent for them, that really is not what you should be doing. There are way better teams out there than your sister team. So, yikes. Hopefully they open their eyes. But up next is going to be, we got ourselves ADS Gaming up next. And so let's hear what words they were able to say to these questions. So question 1 from ADS Gaming, or at least me to ADS Gaming. How was your group stage journey for the team? Their response was, our group is free cash. Yeah, I'll let that sink in for you guys for a little bit. They said their group was free cash. They lost 5 maps out of the 4 things. Free cash? You guys lose maps still in your group, and you're going to still say free cash? I hope, man, you guys... Boys. 'Cause I'm not saying men. I'm saying boys. You could be a little bit more humble. You guys lost 5 maps. I could name 5 other teams that didn't lose that many maps in their group stage. So for you guys to be feeling this, feeling like you want to dish it out to your group, well, geez, I hope you guys don't get upset or anything like that. Looking very comfortable so far. Second question, we got, what teams from other groups are you looking out for come playoffs? You got only teams worried about so far are definitely Hyped Esports, 410 Gaming, and Zelos GG. So first off, they haven't heard about Voltage, which is absolute question mark and a half there. They haven't been really keeping eye on or keeping track of any of the other teams. Boy, ADS Gaming, you guys need a wake-up call or something there, because Voltage is going to kick you guys' asses if you haven't already looked up on them. Second off, you got all the other teams. You got Ragers, Exalved. You've got Ragers, Exalved, and Lockout. 3 teams, and then Voltage, that are all respectively higher than you guys up on the totem pole when it comes to the top 8. Open those eyes. Open those eyes, ADS Gaming. Okay. Third question, what is your team's expectations for playoffs? How well will you project yourselves to do? And they say for playoffs, we're hoping to be in the semifinals/finals for sure. So aiming high, they got high vibes. Clearly they're on one here. I got to talk to their plug or something to see if I can get what they're on. Because man, whoever was answering these questions here was on something for sure. Feeling very cocky and confident. So that's ADS Gaming for you guys. Confident team. And yeah. Moving on next, though, it's going to be Dynasty. They were the 7th strongest team I felt in my top 8. And let's see what they had to say to the questions. We got, how was your group stage journey for the team? They say things went easy. Our only loss was because we ran with 3 subs that game. So, fair. I don't know. I can't really say much about that. Opponents to look out for. What team from other groups are you looking out for come playoffs? They say we're looking out for teams like Hyped Esports, Exalved Esports, and 410, and both 410 teams, and Voltage. So that they're looking out for a lot of teams, and I respect all of that. I respect all the teams they're looking out for, and sure, there's names they missed, but I feel like there are also teams' names that they probably haven't heard of, that aren't very popular, aren't very strong, didn't make too many waves. They've really covered most of the teams that have made the biggest waves. Maybe just Lockout and Ragers, they're those 2 teams. If they would have at least said Lockout, maybe I would have been like, that's the only question mark is Lockout. But other than that, I respect that answer. What is your team's expectations for playoffs? How well will you project yourselves to do? They said that that we believe we can accomplish a top 3 finish. That is a high expectation for your team. Very high. Will you guys be able to do that? I feel like that is a very unlikely finish for your team, but upsets could happen, and if you guys just come out with a different form, a different beast, I feel like you guys could maybe do it. But for now, I really don't think that that's attainable for the team. But good on you guys for having high expectations and setting a high goal. Exalt coming up next in the questions and answers here. The talk with the top, we got Exalved. They are a top 4 team in the top 8 out of the top 8 teams that I had broken down earlier on. Let's hear what their responses are for these questions. So first off, we got question 1. How was your group stage journey for the team? Their responses was fun until the other teams in our group started falling apart. We didn't even get to play in the past week since teams had to forfeit. In the last week since teams had to forfeit. So they were pampered. They had a simple schedule, and teams would even forfeit matches because they didn't have full rosters. Maybe I'm really wrong to have them as a top 4 team, because it looks like they haven't really been troubled or tasked or pushed too hard. So, question marks. I don't know there. Let's see how they respond to the second one, though. What teams from other groups are you looking out for come playoffs? So they go, we are excited to hopefully play ADS Gaming, Voltage Esports, and Fortin Games. So they're humble. They want this competition. They want the experience, it sounds like, of playing those teams. And so we'll see if they'll be able to get to play all three of those teams. I don't believe that they will be able to play all three. I feel like they'll probably hit one of them, drop down, and get knocked out by another team, other than the two others. But we will see. It's going to be interesting to see if that ends up coming down to how I've just kind of laid it out. But question 3, what is your team's expectations for playoffs? How well will your team project themselves to do? And once again, humble, but also really highly expected. We expect nothing but first place. We have been preparing, and I think we can compete with the best of them. So that's a high goal with some of the top performing teams here in this league. And, well, I applaud you guys, like a lot of other teams, for setting really high expectations, but realistically, I'm not too sure if you guys will get that first place. I really don't think I see that, but we'll see. Podium finish, in my opinion, would be respectful. Top 8 would be respectful. Top 6 could be respectful as well, for sure, but we'll see. Coming in with your next question and answer, this one's going to be from Hyped. And let's see if we can get them there. There we go. Hyped Esports. See what they have to say here. So how was your group stage journey for the team? Group stage went fine. End of story. Group stage went fine. They had to face off against Flow Elite, who gave them a tough run for their money there. So they're not too happy, it sounds, in my opinion, with the wording. They're not too happy, but they're also, we got first place. We're fine. It's good. All's good. We'll turn on the Jets when we need to. Come playoffs. What teams from other groups are you looking out for come playoffs? Now, this is where things get a little bit crazy here. So, regardless on Voltage Esports being undefeated on series and maps played coming out of group stage, we still think there are no teams we need to worry about. Like, Juju's team's been together since the start of the game, so if they can't beat a pickup team, what does that say about them? So, these are some early shots fired their way here, saying that they can take down Juju's Voltage roster, and that they don't even think that they're that much of a contest to them. They really feel like they could. When I was talking to them, at least, they really felt like they could take anybody, and that they didn't really feel like they had to worry about any team. There weren't really any teams they were looking out for, and so they're really just barely looking out for Juju's. Then last question. What is your team's expectation for playoffs? How well will you project yourselves to do? And they said, we expect to win the playoffs for sure. So they have a ton of confidence, though they had some rough plays and rough matches in their group stage. So, but I applaud them. I know they're a super strong roster. They've won other leagues, a ton of other leagues out there in the AM scene. So they should be able to do something like that. It is accomplishable for them. So having that goal, having that confidence, it's got to be something that you got to expect from them. Moving on into the next team to see what their responses are. It's going to be Lockout. So Lockout Gaming, team that I didn't really hear too much from or about coming into things here in the NACAL, and well, they're a team that continues to surprise me. As starting off here, group stage, how was your group stage journey for the team? They say group was pretty weird. Team changed so much. We never played the same roster twice. Lost one map with the full team, and the other was with a sub. So the group was easy. So, they give some excuse for those map losses. I understand that. They're not happy. It sounds like they're not happy with those losses as well to give an excuse. But for the most part, decent response. Now, next question: What teams from other groups are you looking out for come playoffs? They say Only team we are thinking about is Voltage Esports. So they are throwing everybody out the window, saying we could take them down really, and we're only focused on Voltage. So they've got a top they have to have a top finish in their eyes, in their minds, in their, in their future. And, that's all they're thinking about is pretty much the finals. Everything else should be manageable, very manageable. It's an interesting strategy there. But last question, what is your team's expectations for playoffs? How will you project yourselves to do? They said hoping to meet Voltage Esports in the finals, expecting to make it to the finals, just have work throughout the week with a teammate with some personal issues to take care of. So they're giving a little bit of an excuse if they can't get to go to the finals. So I don't know, man. Like, I don't like that excuse giving part, but hey, aim high. If you don't shoot, you don't score, right? So I guess shoot your shot, try to get all the way to the end, and try to take down a team like Voltage. But gotta keep a lot more teams in the front. Not in your rear mirror. You want to keep them in the front. But geez, I don't know, man. I don't know. Yeah. Next team here to talk about to hear the responses from, it's going to be Esports Ragers coming up next. They're within the top 5 teams to look out for in in terms of the top 8 teams here, top 8 favorites to win the entire league here in the playoffs, and coming out of groups. Their first response, speaking of groups, how was your group stage journey for the team? They go with, our group only had 2 other teams in it since Lotus Mob dropped out, so no biggie. Simple for them. They got, we're looking out for ADS Gaming, Exalted Esports, and both 410 teams as their response to what teams from other groups are you looking out to come playoffs. And I feel like that's great. They have 4 teams on their radar, but there's more than that when it comes to teams to be worried and cautious about. Hyped needs to be on that list. If you do not look out for Hyped, then that's where you start to fall apart there. And the other 410 roster, the Nation one, it shouldn't be that problematic for you guys. Looking at some of the teams you've taken down in your group, but then again, you do have 3-2 finishes against 2 teams against 1 team in your group, that Mafia Relivar team. So you guys look a little volatile. You look like you might have been a little pampered in your group stage, so we'll see what you guys can do. And then, what is your team's expectations for playoffs? How well will you project yourselves to do? If we can beat either of the 410 teams, we should have a solid chance at winning the whole thing. Oh my. I don't know about that. I don't think that you just need to beat 410 and then you can win the whole thing. Like, bruh. If you beat 410 Nation, then you have a solid chance of winning the whole thing. No, you need to beat Hyped. You need to beat Lockout. You need to beat 410. You need to beat ADS. You need to beat 410 Gaming. You need to beat Voltage. Those are teams you need to beat to be more considered, more likely to be able to win the whole thing. So, I don't know, man. This is some cocky shit for sure. Definitely. I'm just I'm just using words from Rage's Esports that are tuning in to chat live here on Twitch. So I don't know, man. Ragers, you guys got to keep your eyes out for some of the other teams in your group, and not in your group, but from other groups, because clearly you have yourselves kind of pigeonholed on a few teams that you shouldn't actually have too much emphasis on in terms of prepping for. Now, last but not least, we got Voltage. They're the top team here going into playoffs. They should look to secure the entire thing. But let's hear what they have to say. Let's see if they have a ton of confidence, and if they're teaming with confidence, if they're teaming with trash or toxicity. So first question for them, how was your group stage journey for the team? Our group was extremely easy. We have no comms. We gave no comms or effort. So they are just saying their teams in their group were just absolute shit, pretty much. That is jokes cockiness. What teams from other groups are you looking out for come playoffs? The only team to play is 47 roster. Hyped Esports, also known as, you know, Estrel and Co, or 47 and Co, I guess, to these guys. So yeah, they got their eyes on, you know, the one massive team to probably upset them. But 410 Gaming, I feel like, is that second team to really look out for here in this competition for them. I just hope they don't, you know, they don't forget about them. But then again, maybe they've played them before and they've beaten them. I don't know. But for the most part, you know, I feel like they got their eyes on the prize and with the right strategy there. Now, last question, what is your team's expectations for playoffs? How well will you project yourselves to do? And they expect to win the playoffs, period. So, yeah. And that's the expectation I have for them as well. And a lot of other people would agree that they should win the playoffs as well. So that's going to do it for the talk with the top. And we finish off with the strongest team as well. How poetic. Thank you guys so much for tuning on into the action here, to the breakdowns coming in from me to every single one of you guys. But yeah, best of luck to all the teams competing in the playoffs here that's made it this far. And thank you once again for all the teams that have been knocked out for coming along and competing through the group stage section. We miss you guys, and we hope you guys come back to compete and do better, prove yourselves more next season. You guys will join me as I host playoff matches, casting for that stuff. It's going to be fun. Over on my channel, on my socials, check them out. For Trixel is the name. And that's Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. And of course, if you're here watching the video on YouTube, please drop a like, drop a subscription. It means a lot. It goes a long way and rewards me and makes me feel like you guys are enjoying the content. So thank you so much.